Okay, well, again, good morning, everyone, and happy Indigenous Milk Medicine Week. Hopefully, you've been finding ways to celebrate and acknowledge the week. One of the things that we've been trying to do this week is this year is talking about the importance of nutrition, and especially as it relates to making sure mom is taking care of herself. We know that's really important for moms to make sure they are healthy as well, but also the families accessing healthy foods and incorporating traditional foods. So we had asked Casey the dietitian from Stockbridge, Muncie. She so generously agreed to present the discussion about nutrition and breastfeeding. So without further ado, I am going to hand off to Casey.
Thanks, Sherry. So like Sherry said, my name is Casey Rosenberg. I'm the dietitian and I'm also a lactation consultant for the Stockbridge Muncie community. So today we're just going to kind of talk about what breastfeeding moms need from a nutritional basis to ensure their babies get everything they need. With August being Breastfeeding Awareness Month, plus this week being Indigenous Milk Medicine Week, I thought what better time to discuss this. Okay, so a little bit about what we'll go over today. We'll talk about the why. Why should the moms be eating a healthy diet? And does it really impact breastfeeding? What do moms need? What types of food should they be eating? Maybe what should they limit or exclude from their diet? How much? You always hear like, oh, you need so many extra calories when you're breastfeeding. We'll kind of talk about what that actual amount of calories is that breastfeeding moms do need. We'll talk a little bit about hydration and why it's important to stay hydrated during breastfeeding, and then some special accommodations that you might not think about or that may arise with yourself breastfeeding, or if you're working with patients breastfeeding, things like special diets, allergies, things like that. Okay, so starting off with the why. So, there's no special diet required during breastfeeding in order to keep a healthy supply of milk and to keep mom's body in prime condition while eating healthy. But eating a well-balanced diet and staying adequately hydrated is what is important. So breastfeeding does pull nutrients from the mom's body. So repleting those nutrients is really what's important here. So extra calories are needed during breastfeeding for moms, approximately like 450 to 500 calories a day extra. So on top of what you were eating, say before you started breastfeeding, is what your body needs. And your body knows what your baby needs at each stage of development. So, the body starts out right after birth with like the colostrum, and that's kind of a more nutrient dense milk that's coming, and then it shifts as your child grows and you continue breastfeeding throughout their life cycle, and then your body kind of knows and shifts, and you might see changes in like the color of your milk, the thickness of your milk, those kind of things, even the smell of your milk, and that's your body just reacting to what your baby needs. A lot of times you might see if your baby's sick, your milk might change a little bit because it's kind of adapting to what they need at that time. So again, just eating a well-balanced diet is really what's important when it comes to breastfeeding and making sure that your breast milk is, the best it can be for your baby. Okay, so again, what kind of food should we be promoting or should moms be eating? A big thing is protein. You might hear a lot about this with breastfeeding. Protein obviously helps with the production of breast milk. It can help maintain and build muscle mass, tissues, bone. It boosts immunity and neurological functions for your baby. And it also helps with your recovery after pregnancy and childbirth. So protein is a great thing. One serving of protein is about 3 ounces. So that looks like the size of a deck of cards. And, trying to get at least a serving of protein at all your meals. You can also add protein snacks if you feel you're not getting enough protein throughout your day. So some good protein options. Fish is a great source of protein. It contains, essential vitamins, minerals. A few things to remember about fish, though, is you want to eat a variety of different fishes. If the fish is caught by family or friends, just check to see if there's any fish advisories in your area. Avoid fish with high mercury levels, such as things like king mackerel, marlin, roughy, shark, swordfish, big tuna, those kind of things. And living where we live here and being more lake fish that we tend to consume, those for the most part are really safe. So, a good quality protein. So you don't have to worry about that. That's more like if you're living near an ocean, you want to worry about those kind of things and those mercury levels. Um, and if you do eat those varieties of fish, you can still eat them. It's just you want to kind of limit them in your diet to 1 or 2 times a week. Um, Obviously, other protein sources, are going to include meats, chicken and poultry, eggs, dairy, beans, nuts, seeds. So all of those are good protein sources, and it's good to get a variety of those within your diet. So not just eating one form of protein, but kind of varying it throughout the day and the week is a good idea. Next up is fruits and vegetables. And the goal is 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And trying to get a variety of colors is really important. Fruits and vegetables are packed with so many vitamins and minerals. That's why the recommended serving per day is so high. They also have things like fiber, which can keep you full because, with breastfeeding, you probably feel like you're constantly hungry. So adding those fiber-rich foods into your diet can help try to subside that hunger a little bit for you. They can help regulate your GI system, which might be a little bit altered after childbirth. They can pull cholesterol from your body, which is a good thing for most people. You want to mix and match your servings of fruits and vegetables, but try to get 5 throughout the day. So try not to do 5 fruit or 5 vegetable, but get, a combo of both is a good thing. And ensure eating a variety of different colors is a good thing too, because all those different colors of fruits and vegetables really have different vitamins and minerals in them. So that's where you don't want to just hit, all red or all blue. You want to get a variety of different things into your body. Lastly, whole grains are a great option too. They're thought to have properties that support the hormones responsible for making breast milk. So like oatmeal is a common whole grain used to help increase breast milk supply. So that's why a lot of times you might hear, oh, my supply is going down. Oh, you should eat oatmeal. When you're also thinking about grains, trying to avoid the refined grains and stick to the whole grains is another good tip. You want to avoid those sugar sweetened cereals and refined grains when choosing your grains for the day. Trying to go with, whole grain breads, pastas, cereals, oatmeal. Those are all the good grain options. And they, again, have more of that fiber content, keep you full longer, help your GI system, things like that. So really just a good, well-rounded diet is what you're looking for. It's nothing crazy, just getting a good variety of different foods from different food groups. Okay, so kind of the question that seems to be like what everyone wants to know when they're talking about breastfeeding is how much extra food do I need in my diet? Breastfeeding women do need an additional like 450 to 600 calories per day for the most part. So moms should avoid consuming less than 1,800 calories per day, and they should shoot for approximately like 2,300 to 2,500 calories per day, just based on kind of where you ended your pregnancy, your weight status at that point, and if you're wanting to kind of maintain your weight or lose a little weight. If you are trying to lose weight, then you don't need to add these extra calories. You can just stick to kind of your normal like 2,000 calorie a day diet. And then hopefully that will help with weight loss too. But, if you're content with your weight status, looking to add, somewhere between 450 and 600 extra calories a day is the goal here. It's not an exact science. It varies, based on your age, your body mass index, your activity level, the extent to your breastfeeding. So if you're exclusively breastfeeding or if you're doing a mixture of formula and breastfeeding, those all kind of vary the amount of calories. But, if you're kind of shoot around 500 extra calories, that's a good amount. The average American does need about 2,000 calories a day. So if you kind of go off of that number, that's a good like standard number to use. And going too low in calories is something we want to avoid too, because that can, deplete supply. It can maybe reduce the nutrition value of your breast milk, things like that. So you don't want to go too low on your calories either, because, you're nourishing your body and your baby's body. So you still want to get enough calories in throughout the day. Also, getting enough calories in the day will help your energy level throughout the day. Obviously, it's a demanding time for your body with all the changes happening, caring for another person, things like that. So you still do want to keep your energy level up, and consuming an adequate amount of calories throughout the day will help with that. Okay, so hydration. This is so key for breastfeeding. You really want to be drinking plenty of fluids throughout the day to quench your thirst. When you hit that point of thirst, you're actually already dehydrated. So sipping throughout the day is a really good thing. And you might find with breastfeeding that you are just constantly thirsty throughout the day. So that's where just sipping on water, unsweetened beverages throughout the day is going to be your friend here. Always keeping something with you to have handy. You do want to limit the certain types of beverages you're drinking. So you want to limit like the sweetened beverages, how much caffeine you're drinking, all those kind of things. And you don't need to like force yourself to drink gallons and gallons of water, but you need to listen to your body, listen to your thirst level, kind of sip to avoid that thirst throughout the day, things like that. It can be really helpful to have something to drink with you while you're breastfeeding, because you hear a lot that during actual breastfeeding, that's when women sometimes are the most thirsty throughout the day. So just when you sit down to breastfeed, try to have a glass of water with you, or a bottle of water or something like that. If you're out in public, try to carry water with you throughout the day, those kind of things. So as far as the caffeine, you can drink caffeinated beverages, but you just want to take it easy on these. You don't want to go overboard, because it can cause some jitteriness with the baby. You might see a little bit negative side effects with them and how they might react to caffeine. And it can also lead to some sleeping issues. So you can have a cup of coffee throughout the day or something like that, but you don't want to go overboard on your caffeine intake. Usually eliminating to about like 2 8-ounce servings of caffeinated beverages a day is a good goal. So that could be like 2 cups of coffee or 1 large cup of coffee kind of thing. Other things to think about, like soda has caffeine in it. Caffeinated teas obviously do, energy drinks. So that all kind of calculates into those 2 8-ounce servings per day. And moms have seen issues with caffeine when they're kind of have a high caffeine intake. So this is like women maybe drinking 10 cups or more of coffee per day. Caffeine, like I said, it can be found in tea, coffee, but also in soda, in those energy drinks. Even certain foods have caffeine in it, like chocolate. So just kind of thinking about what you're drinking can be really important too. And then lastly, alcohol. It is best to limit your alcohol when breastfeeding or pumping. It can decrease milk supply or change the taste of your milk. So if you are planning on drinking alcohol, wait like 2 to 3 hours after each serving of alcohol you have before breastfeeding or pumping. So a serving of alcohol is like a 12-ounce beer, 6 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of liquor. If you're feeling the effects of the alcohol, then it has probably passed through to your milk. So a lot of times if you're feeling the effects of those alcohol, you probably don't want to use that milk, and wait until you're not feeling those effects to pump or breastfeed is kind of the recommendation right now. So if you are feeling the effects of those alcohol and you do need to pump or feed, taking that time to pump and then you can discard that milk is usually the best choice. And that's where maybe having some milk pre-pumped that you can give baby if you are going out to have some alcoholic drinks, so that you have something to feed baby that isn't impacted by that milk. As your blood alcohol level falls over time, the alcohol level in your breast milk will also decrease. So breast milk contains alcohol as long as the alcohol is in your blood. Okay, so looking at some of those special accommodations that we talked about that you might not necessarily think about, it might not arise in every person, but it might pop up sometime in your breastfeeding journey. So allergies in baby. So the most common food allergies tend to be dairy, soy, wheat, and eggs. And there's really no predicting whether your child is going to develop these allergies or not. Sometimes there's a genetic component that maybe if you or the father or another family member has some of these allergies, they might be higher risk. But some kids also just develop these allergies, and there's no set rhyme or reason why. So those are, the most common ones. Some common symptoms of food allergies or intolerances could be green, mucus-like, and blood-speckled stools, a lot of colic, fussiness, reflux, those kind of things. Those tend to be more, those don't necessarily tend to be impacted by food allergies. It's more the impacts in like their stool and things like that. So some of the less common allergies that we might not think about are like fish, nuts, peanuts, corn can be a big one for some people. A baby could also develop an allergy from what the mom is eating. So if these symptoms are occurring in your baby, keeping a food diary can really help with symptoms and what you're eating, and it can help you kind of correlate what you may be eating to what the reactant is in the baby. So that's where keeping that food diary might really help. You don't need to stop breastfeeding if an allergy develops. You can just remove the suspected foods from your diet, and that should hopefully resolve the issue within baby. So, this may mean carefully checking food labels. A lot of times there's ingredients in, like say if it's a dairy allergy, a lot of times like powdered milk is in a lot of things that we might not think about. So really keeping an eye on those food labels. It can definitely be a little more difficult, but you definitely don't need to stop feeding. You just might have to do more of an elimination diet at that time. It can also take up to 4 to 6 weeks for baby symptoms to resolve for food allergies. So, if you try it for a few days and you're not seeing results, really give it a good month of that elimination diet to see if that helps or not. Okay, so the next thing is smoking and tobacco use. Tobacco can affect mom's appetite, how foods taste. It can potentially lead to nutrient deficiencies, especially while breastfeeding. So smoking has also been known to increase a baby's reaction to caffeine. Therefore, if you are a smoker, be very careful about your caffeine intake. Tobacco can interfere with milk letdown, and it may also reduce the amount of milk you make. So it might cause supply issues. If you do choose to smoke or use tobacco products, think about a low nicotine variety if you can find it, and smoke right after feeding or pumping, as nicotine will decrease in your milk over the next 2 to 3 hours. See your healthcare provider if you would like help stopping tobacco use. And obviously it's definitely recommended to not use tobacco during breastfeeding, but if you are a tobacco user, thinking about these things while you are breastfeeding can help make sure your supply stays good and make sure the amount of nicotine passed through your breast milk is limited to your child. Nicotine can cause baby to have a more rapid heartbeat, restlessness, jitteriness, and vomiting and diarrhea. So some of these things may definitely be tied to tobacco use. Secondhand smoke also increases the risk of SIDS in children. So again, it's kind of best just to avoid the tobacco products while you are breastfeeding, but trying to take those precautions if you do choose to breastfeed while using tobacco. Okay, and then lastly, special diets like on the mom side. So if the mom follows a vegetarian or a vegan diet, it may require them to just take a B12 vitamin supplement during pregnancy and breastfeeding because they're not getting those sources from animal products. So moms who don't consume animal products, it's very hard to get that the adequate amount of B12 needed in their diet. So B12 deficiency can result in neurological damage. That's where using a supplement can really just ensure that damage doesn't occur if you're not consuming a diet with animal products in it. This can also occur in moms with certain health issues, like a history of gastric bypass, anemia, certain GI disorders. They also might need to supplement with B12. And usually these things about yourself before you start breastfeeding. So a lot of times your provider will have that conversation with you, or you can have that conversation with your provider to ensure you figure out if you need the B12 supplement or not. And also with like vegetarians and vegans, they also need to ensure that they're eating other sources of iron and zinc. So that can be found in things like dried beans, dried fruit, nuts, and seeds, and dairy products. So if you are following a vegetarian or vegan diet, still trying to get some of these products into your diet will help kind of avoid some of those other deficiencies that might arise. Okay, so moving on to milk supply. So, there's a lot of kind of myths out there that certain supplements or certain foods can help increase or decrease supply, but sometimes the actual research on some of these things is still kind of not solid enough to recommend everything to everyone. So we'll just kind of go through some of the common ones. But first, like some proven ways to actually increase milk supply include making sure you have a correct position and latch with your baby. That can help increase suction and increase supply. You can add in extra pumpings between feedings, or if you're exclusively pumping, just adding extra pumpings in general will help increase supply. And then, just nursing as often as you can. Those are like proven ways to help increase supply. But we'll kind of go over some of the supplements and foods now that may or may not help you. So fenugreek is a term you may have heard. It is an aromatic seed. It can be taken in a tea or supplement form. Some women find that it does help increase their supply. It may increase gassiness in babies though. It also contains a compound called galactoglogs, and it's an estrogen-like compound that is thought to enhance milk flow. So that's why people sometimes tie it to increase supply. There's just not significant research there. Like I said, it can cause extra gassiness in babies. It should be used in caution with those that have a history of asthma, as it can exacerbate this. And research does seem to actually be moving away from fenugreek and just towards some other supplements out there. So we'll kind of go through some more of those now. So like I talked about earlier, oatmeal or oat milk can be good for breastfeeding. So it is a whole grain. It's a good source of iron. About a half cup of the dry oats has almost 2 milligrams of iron, which is around 20% of what breastfeeding moms need a day. So even just eating like a bowl of oatmeal in the morning gives you a good start to your iron supply throughout the day. Low levels of iron are known to inhibit milk supply. So that's kind of the tie of oatmeal, is that it increases iron intake in the diet and therefore it hopefully increases milk supply. So research there's a strong correlation between oatmeal and milk supply, and it's a whole grain, so it does other good things in your body. So that's one you can definitely try if you're having milk supply issues. Next up, we have fennel. So fennel is similar to fenugreek, and a few studies have tied fennel seed consumption to greater milk volume, also greater fat content within the milk, and infant weight gain. But large scale research is definitely still lacking on this. It is a licorice flavored seed, and you commonly find it in like lactation cookies and teas. So something you can think about trying if you're having milk supply issues. Okay, so then moving on to lean protein sources. So lean like meats, poultries, things like that. They can help increase iron levels, similar to the oatmeal effect on breast milk. So using things such as lean beef, pork, lamb, poultry, those are all really good sources of iron. And like I said, like oatmeal, it helps increase the supply and therefore, or the level of iron in your body, which also then increases supply for milk. Okay, so then garlic. So studies have not shown any correlation, but many moms do swear that adding 1 to 2 cloves of garlic to their food does help increase supply, but this is all just personal based. So it's something you can try if you want. A lot of people just use a lot of garlic in their diets in general. So it's not going to hurt you by adding garlic to your diet, but there's no, direct research studies out there right now that show that garlic increases supply, but you can try it and see if it works for you. Okay, so then lastly, brewer's yeast. So you may have heard of this. It's very common in like breastfeeding supplements and recipes. So it has been used as a nutritional supplement for generations and has always been recommended as a milk booster. It does pass easily into breast milk, so use small amounts to avoid increased gas or fussiness in babies. You can add it to things like baked goods, pancakes, smoothies, all those kind of things. It has high iron levels, selenium, protein, B vitamins. So that's why it's recommended as a milk booster, just like those protein and oatmeal and whole grain foods do. So again, these are just a few of the common ones. There's a lot of other options out there. There's supplements out there. It is just used at your own discretion. Um, so has anyone else heard of other foods or supplements that might increase their milk supply? If you want, you can pop them in the chat if there's anything outside of these foods. Sometimes it's nice just to hear what other people are using too.
I was just going to add to Stefana put in there. She has heard or has seen or heard that fenugreek can cause issues with someone who might have blood sugar, be watching their blood sugar. So certainly something to keep in mind there too.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where I feel like fenugreek used to be a lot more popular, but now they're just finding a little bit more negative correlations with it. So people are shifting kind of away from fenugreek. So all things to think about if you do have some of those other complications in your health history. So overall, there's not much research supporting that eating galactic logs or foods that encourage breast milk production will truly increase your supply. But eating these foods also won't harm your body. They shouldn't harm your supply. So some moms do see an increase with certain foods that we just talked about. But it's really up to you. And if you're not having supply issues, then just eating that well-balanced diet we talked about earlier in the presentation is really what's best.
And really, if you're looking at the lactation cookies, come on, it's a cookie. How could you go wrong, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You can have your extra calories with cookies. Okay. So, lastly, sharing with your baby through milk. So if you find that your baby is often gassy or colicky or has increased diarrhea, think about what you're eating because what you're eating is, directly correlated to the nutrients that your baby is getting through your milk. You may need to avoid foods for several weeks to see if they are if they're the culprit and see if the symptoms go away. Then you can try to add the food back in and see if for sure that is the culprit. And you may just need to avoid this while you're breastfeeding or pumping. And DHA is an important like omega-3 fatty acid that's needed for babies and brain development. You can boost your DHA in your milk by eating safe forms of fish 2 to 3 times a week. We talked about earlier, a lot of the fish we probably eat or purchase around here should be safe, but you can always check to make sure that those are safe. Getting a good color variety in your diet can help sometimes change the color of your milk. So you might notice that if you're eating a lot of different foods of one certain color, your milk might kind of vary. The pigments of your milk might kind of change. So, like pigments naturally occurring in fruits and vegetables and supplements and food dyes can sometimes impact your milk. So if you see that your milk is maybe a different color, you can sometimes correlate it with your foods that you're eating. And then also like spicy and gas producing foods can be tolerated by babies, but some might not. It's really kind of just an experiment. So thinking about what you're eating and if you notice a change in your baby's behaviors or GI issues, it might be tied to what you're eating. So kind of just thinking that, everything you're eating is in a form going to your baby. So, just thinking about what you're eating before you eat it, or if after your baby's having symptoms, you can sometimes correlate to that and avoid it if it was an issue for you. Here's just a nice list of good resources for mother's diet or things that might affect supply, things like that. Kelly Mom is a good resource you can use. The La Leche League has a lot of really great resources online. Michigan Breastfeeding has a lot of nice websites. Eat Right Pro is the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics website. So really good research-based articles there. just a bunch of different resources if you're looking for information on breastfeeding and mom's diet and breastfeeding. Okay, so that's all I had for you today. But if anyone has questions, you can feel free to take those right now.
I see Elena added myplate.gov as a resource, which can have, I mean, that's a great resource for recipes. Casey mentioned a couple times trying to get a variety of colors. So there's ways, there's some options on my plate for that for sure. Yeah, definitely a great option. I see there's another comment. Oh yeah, I feel the reasons why some people feel certain foods increase their supply is because they're just enjoying consuming them, which the enjoyment causes the increase in oxytocin and, potentially it just mood boosting in general to improve supply. So, yeah, I could see that, like I said, with the cookies.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, and that's where some of that stuff is so variable. What works for one mom might not work for another. So you kind of got to figure out what works for you. And, as long as you're eating a well-balanced diet, you can pretty much ensure that your child is also having a well-balanced diet because it's, creating a nutrient-dense milk product for them to drink.
Other questions for Casey or comments? Anything that you've noticed as far as if you've had any experience with needing to adjust your intake for baby's milk or any interesting color changes in your milk, anything like that anyone noticed? And feel free if you want to unmute yourself to speak or if you want to just use the chat.
Hi, I'm Elena, Apache and Comanche, live in Kansas. I'm a breastfeeding counselor for WIC. One of the things that I do, if they bring up teas or cookies, I never try to like say, oh, don't do that, discourage it. I, kind of frame it like, hey, like it may not increase volume, but whatever, baby is getting, it's going to be packed, with the additional, goodness that you're adding, whether it's, extra vitamins, minerals, whatnot. So, I try to counsel it that way to say, it does have added benefits. Like someone said earlier, hey, it's a cookie, your extra calories. So I think that's a good thing to frame it that way too.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you're talking about any of these, kind of like milk boosting supplements or products, it's always good just to preface it with that. Like, this isn't proven to necessarily increase supply, but if it's something, if you're putting good products into that, cookie or smoothie or whatever you're kind of trying to use to increase supply, and, it's like good quality nutrition products, then it's not going to hurt you or baby. And, it might help boost your milk. And if it does, that's great. And, so that's kind of how we phrase it too here at our WIC clinic.
And Casey, I don't see, there's a couple in the chat. Tashina said I had to stop eating wheat, oats, fish, and eggs because of an allergy her daughter had. And she loved having oatmeal and oat milk in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can definitely be really challenging when you have to do elimination diet based on allergies that might arise. And, you have to kind of figure out if that is still worth it for you to continue on that journey. For a lot of people, it is. Or, it might be a mixture of still breastfeeding and doing formula, and it can definitely be done, but it definitely does add a challenge for the moms. So props to you for continuing to breastfeed with, having to eliminate all those foods.
And I just want to comment too, because Tashina is, and I'm not sure if you're still doing this, Tashina, but was nursing a toddler and had, well, geez, your baby's probably inching up on a year now, but was doing some tandem nursing. So she had other challenges. So adding in the diet issue is certainly, she's been powering through. So congratulations on that, Tashina.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it's great to show that you can still do it. It just takes probably a lot more planning and effort on your part, but you can definitely still manage through all of that.
And then we have just another comment. I think Stefan is talking about eating a variety of the types of foods and spices always good for helping to increase baby's palate as well. When
Mhm.
solid foods are introduced, because then they will be used to the taste during pregnancy and through the human milk journey. And I think we particularly talk about that with some of our traditional foods, like incorporating those into mom's diet. So that becomes part of what baby recognizes as well.
Definitely, yeah, and I think that's, just kind of increases, um, the effect that, the foods mom eats during pregnancy and nursing really do impact, like, the palate in later years in life and what foods your child might move towards later in life. So it shows just the importance of eating that well-balanced diet, as you can through pregnancy and through breastfeeding, because it'll just really help improve their diet down the road.
Any other questions for Casey or comments or concerns you had as far as nutrition and breastfeeding? Okay, well, I want to say thank you to you guys for participating. I think it's really fun when we have a discussion and can hear some of the experiences that you all have had as well. So I appreciate that. But would definitely like to thank Casey for this presentation. Amazing, it's just great information. And we did record it and we'll be posting it. So if you know someone you would like to share this with, another mom that's starting her breastfeeding journey and might need a little help with the nutrition aspect, we will be sharing the recording. So happy to have you get that out to your friends, family, participants, whatever as well. So again, thank you, Casey, for your presentation. I just want to remind everyone, we also have a traditional food presentation tomorrow, which will be at noon Central Time. So if you're interested in that, check out our Facebook page for the link. We've got a speaker or presenter from Oneida Nation who will talk about using some of her traditional foods and some of the stories that go along with those foods as well. So be sure to tune in for that as well. So with that, I will close out. Again, thank you once again, Casey, and thank you everyone for attending and enjoy the rest of your week.